Hi folks, it's Neil from Config Services. We're back with the final video in our LibreNMS alerting series. This one focusing on the templates, and we're going to show you how to create those, how to use the Laravel Blade templating engine itself, how to associate with rules, and a little bit of testing as well. So to get us started, we're going to head over to the alerts and then alert template section. It's worthwhile pointing out as well that we've got pretty decent documentation as part of LibreNMS on templates. So if you go here, you can do things like obviously link across to the Laravel Blade docs to show you what's possible within there. Gives you some basics around the syntax that's possibly available within the templates, the variables that are available as well. But also as we kind of get into the advanced options, how you can do things like vary the output from the template based on the transport being used. We've got things like embedding graphs into there, specifically for mail transports, but others as well. And also how you can pull additional information in just accessing things like the models as part of the code base within LibreNMS. So worthwhile going through that documentation. But what we're going to show you to get started is just the included templates. So you've got a default alert template, which will be automatically associated to any rules you create. You don't need to do that manually. However, it's fairly basic. It just gives you a bit of information about the fault array. I've added this in, so you're not going to get that by default, but it gives you a bit of information about the fault, the device, and some sort of timing information. Now, these other three are a bit more specific around various different parts of LibreNMS. So if you're creating a rule that's around BGP sessions, then you may want to use things like the BGP template that we've got here, because it specifically then outputs like the peer information, the IP, the AS numbers, etc., that you would expect to see. Same for ports and sensors, and they're just customized to those individual tables of information available. Now we're going to create just a testing one. So if you click on create new alert template, and we just give it a name testing at the top. I'm going to start off with a very basic template just to show you the use of a variable and a single line, which is devices down. We're going to associate this with the testing rule that we've previously created. And in here, you can overwrite the alert title and recovery title. So they'll be automatically set, especially if it's a mail transport by LibreNMS, but you can overwrite that and you can actually use a lot of the syntax available in the templating engine in general to use variables within the alert and recovery title. So if we just hit create template there now, and this page now refreshes, we can see the template name of testing, what alert rules they're bound to, and then if you want to actually see the content of what the alerts are going to look like from a template perspective, then just edit it again. Here you can make some changes and then click update template. You can also delete, as always, just hit the delete option and then delete again, and that will remove the template and disassociate it from any particular rules. So now that the alert rules have been running for a little bit, I'm going to show you what the output looks like based on the very simple template we've used previously. Okay, so we can see this message here now, which is for two devices that are down at the moment, and it was purely using the very basic template of devices down and then the host name associated with it. So that's for Discord. We've got the same on email as well. So if I just open one of those up to show you, bring that across. So we've just got devices down. Now, what we're going to do is update that template to actually show you how you can change the output based on the transport type, as you saw in the docs a second ago. So if I go back and edit this testing template here, I'm going to bring in an existing bit of code that I've put together, very basic still, just extends out that device down. And what we're going to do here is we're going to check the variable of alert transport equals mail, and we're going to just say mail devices down, else we're going to say, right, Discord devices down. So for this, we've only got two transports associated with this rule, mail and Discord. So we now should see slightly different output based on this template being updated across both of those two transports. So I'll update that now. Might take up to 60 seconds. So I'm just going to pause here. Alerts are now starting to flow in with the updated template. So I'll show you the Discord one here. And we can now see that we've changed the message that is coming out. So this is the original one, the basic one. Obviously still basic, but now includes the word Discord, but doesn't include the word mail, which is obviously quite key. And then if I bring one of the mail ones across as well, so this is now showing again, we're just using the word mail here to differentiate between the two different transports. If I now head back to our testing template, just edit this, what I'm going to do is show you how to embed a graph. So this will be specifically for the mail transport that we're using here. I've taken this from the documentation, so you should just be able to pretty much copy and paste this, just with the ever so slight changes around the device ID and the device availability graph. So I'll run through these now so you're aware of how they work. So device, quite naturally, is the device that we're throwing the alert up for at that particular point in time. So I've mentioned previously, when alerts get fired, they're associated to individual devices, and this is a way for us to just reference back to what that device is. Now the type can be any type of graph within LibreNMS, and I'll show you where to get that information from in a second. This one, we're going to use the device underscore availability graph because it's an alert that's showing us down devices. So what we care about at that particular point is the historic availability. This might show us sort of a device that's flapping up and down, and you see that in the graphs, or it becomes quite stable and solid and it's only recently just had a problem. You've got the from and to values, which is the date and time range of what data you want to pull in to show within that graph. Now here we're using sort of a fixed time format. We're doing the from, which is minusing off sort of tenth of thousands of seconds to give us a good starting point from previous. You could change this to something like 3600 seconds to give us an hour. And then we're taking it to what's the current time at the point in time that we have an issue. So you can also change this to be relative values. So if I go, okay, I want to do -3 days. The issue you'll have with this though is that when somebody views the image in an email, say in a few days time, it's going to go back 3 days from the point in time they're viewing the image and not when the alert happened. So you're going to show different data to what you would expect to see. So it's probably always worth sticking to this kind of format. You just choose what your time window looks like when you set this up. You've obviously got width and height, just how big the image is basically when it gets embedded. So I'm going to update this template now. It's going to take us a little while for new alerts to come through utilizing this template, but I'll show you the example of what that looks like on a mail. Let me show you what that's going to now look like in our template. You'll have to excuse the dark theme that I'm using, but this is a graph now we're embedded for a fake device that we're currently running, so there's not a huge amount of data in here. But you can see this image now being embedded into the alert that's been sent through. Okay, just to expand this out further now, so if we go back and edit this template, we've got basic information about the actual device itself, but you can extend this out and just do, say, okay, what is the OS of this device? So we can use this variable to do that. List of variables in the documentation, as I mentioned earlier. So you can do things like the IP address, got the sys description and sys name, etc. So I mentioned about seeing where the actual graph type comes from within LibreNMS. So we've got this device availability here, so I'll show you how to get to that. So if we go to devices, and I'm going to pick one that we've been testing, which is this one, which we know is down. Go to one of the graphs that we want to pull data in from. So we've got this availability graph here. If I now click on that, you can see at the top in the URL, might be a little bit unclear, but we've got type equals, and then that's where we want to take the device availability value from. Now, if I go here and go, okay, actually, let's look at the polar. We've got ping response. So again, we've got type equals device underscore ping underscore perf. So you can take that value like this. If I now go back to alert templates, edit this value, I can change that now to be a different graph type to be pulled in. So what I'm going to show you now is just how to test the template. I've touched on where the script might be located, but you're going to want to just jump to the CLI to be able to do this. So if I head over to command prompt, in the scripts directory is a test-template.php script. Run that without any arguments and it gives you the parameters to pass on. So we need to pass -t for the template ID. So if I head over here now and go, okay, template ID 9, so pass that across. We have the host name or the device ID that we want to test this against. So if I head over to devices, we can use this one here. So this is 38 as the device ID. The rule that we're running this against, so head over to alert rules, and it's this one here. As I mentioned, just hover over that icon, you'll get the rule ID, so that's 23. We can pass the transport on, but we don't need to. Set the alert state itself, so it's going to default to what the active alert is looking like right now, which we know is triggered, so we're going to let that use its default. And then -d for debug. So if I run this now, get a bunch of SQL queries as you'd expect, so you can copy and paste those to see what information is being generated. We pull out the alert templates. This is all the variables available within the template, so if you want to know what is available and what that looks like as part of your template creation, then run this and it'll give you that information. It gives you information about the rules itself. So we have got the output now of the message that's going to get sent. So this is the passed template basically, and because we've not passed an actual transport on, it's obviously going through the template we've created, which is checking which transport type it is. Because we're not matching it being mail, because we haven't specified that, then it's defaulting to the else, which is Discord. So that's the passed template that we would now use and send across to Discord itself. So hopefully that's going to be useful for your testing. If you've got any issues, the actual syntax within the templates, it should get flagged here. If you're just not sure on what the output's going to look like, again, you can come back and test that against the individual templates, rules and devices within the CLI. Thanks for watching, folks. Hopefully you found it useful. And if you want to send me any suggestions on future content, then by all means get in touch.